Now let me get back to the bridge, that protest, that war and our country. This really troubles me, and I know it troubles you. Thank you so much for your messages of support. If our country has lost its way, as I said last night, then of course it all starts from the top. Think about how our Prime Minister early today had a phone conversation with Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority, to talk about the war in Gaza and the possibility of a two-state solution. Now, this is madness, of course. You need an actual state to be created before you can recognise one. And there is nothing even remotely approaching a sovereign nation in the Palestinian territories. Gaza is a war zone deliberately turned into a terrorist trap for the Israeli army by the terrorist leadership of Hamas. So it has no economy, it has no effective governance and no rule of law. It is a terrorist badland. And the West Bank, run by Fatah, the other main political faction in the Palestinian territories, also has its problems with extremist elements, a serious lack of democracy and the rule of law, and there's no agreement about borders, security or a political system. Yet Albanese speaks to Abbas about a two-state solution. A solution, in fact, that Abbas actually rejected the last time it was put to him.
In 2008, Israel tried yet again. Prime Minister Ehud Olmert went even further than Ehud Barak had, expanding the peace offer to include additional land to sweeten the deal. Like his predecessor, the new Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas, turned the deal down.
Yep, Mahmoud Abbas was offered a two-state solution 17 years ago and didn't take it, even after Israel had gotten out of Gaza and handed it over to the Palestinians. But now, after Gaza has been turned into a terrorist badland where Hamas still holds 50 hostages, 20 alive, 30 dead, Albanese reckons Abbas can deliver a two-state solution. This is delusional. It's all about posturing and trying to punish Israel rather than serious peacemaking or nation building. And listen to the hysterical way our foreign minister talks about this.
Everybody understands that there is a risk there will be no Palestine left to recognise unless the international community work together towards two states.
That is the hyperbole of an activist, not a sensible contribution from a foreign minister. But that's just it, isn't it? They're not practising diplomacy. They are radical activists trying to demonise Israel. Just one aside about Albanese and his hopeless foreign policy. Think about where he's got Australia at the moment in global diplomacy. He can't get a meeting with our main security ally and key regional and global partner, the United States. Albo can't crack a meeting with Donald Trump, the leader of the country we rely on for our own defence. But Albo can get meetings whenever he likes with Xi Jinping, the leader of the communist superpower of China, the main strategic threat in the region, the main economic and security rival to the US, and a country that has bullied us with economic sanctions and with military intimidation. A country that spies on us. But this is a bit of a pattern for Albo now, isn't it? Because he can't get a phone call with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of a country that has long been our friend and partner. Yeah, he can't get a conversation with Bibi, but he can chat to the leader of the Palestinian Authority. Albanese seems to be doing everything to insult our friends, the people who run and support liberal democracies, but he does chat with and he wins praise from the leaders who do not share our values. Anyway, back to the Sydney Harbour Bridge. There are discussions now about how the law can be changed to prevent or limit bridge marches in the future. Some experts say it's all too hard, that if protesters want to march along any road or across any bridge, we can't legally stop them. Isn't this extraordinary? I mean, do these people not remember how governments seem to have had all the powers and all the will and all the strength in the world when they wanted to stop us from disagreeing with them over lockdowns and vaccine mandates? Yeah, in New South Wales, the police were incredibly heavy-handed, crushing dissent and blocking protests. But the Victorian authorities made their northern counterparts seem kind and gentle by comparison, as they turned up with strong-arm tactics and rubber bullets to tackle people opposed to lockdowns and mandatory vaccines. So our authorities and our politicians make choices. They choose what kind of protest they crack down on or block or oppose or restrict. And since the days right after the October the 7th atrocities, the authorities have deliberately decided to go soft on the pro-Palestinian and anti-Israeli protesters. And that's part of the reason that anti-Semitism has only escalated over the past 22 months, because our authorities simply have not cracked down on it. And that's why the march on Sunday, while it was large, perhaps 100,000 people or more, was not a representation of mainstream Australia. It was dominated by Islamist leaders and their followers, people waving the flags of terrorist organisations, showing photos of terrorist leaders, chanting death to the IDF. And there were other radical political groups, socialist revolutionaries, and of course the stock standard Greens out there. But the numbers were intimidating for the Australian Jewish community. The people on the bridge would have easily outnumbered the entire Sydney Jewish community. They might have gone close to outnumbering the entire Australian Jewish community. But they didn't represent most of us. 5.4 million Sydneysiders did not march. And I know from your feedback that you support Israel. You don't give it a clear slate, but you do support its struggle for survival. And you certainly support the Australian Jewish community, who should not be suffering any of the abuse and intimidation and violence that's been directed at them these past 22 months. So I want to make sure that non-Jewish Australians have the chance to share their support. Mainstream Australians don't go to protests, they don't block traffic on the bridge. We've got better things to do. But if you've got a view on all of this, a message for the Australian Jewish community or for Israelis anywhere or for all of the Australians across this great land, just drop me a line. Email me at kennyreport@skynews.com.au. That's kennyreport@skynews.com.au. And I'll share some of your views here each night, and we'll pass them on to members of the Jewish community as well. Don't let the Islamist extremists and the radical activists on the bridge speak for Australia. Share your views with us and we'll give you a platform. Jewish Australians need to know that they are our mates, along with everyone else.